Most analysts walk into their first M&A deal knowing how to build a model and almost nothing about the process the model is supposed to serve. That gap is why most analysts spend their first 6 months feeling lost in their own deals. I'm John Colley, 30 years across investment banking, M&A and private equity since 1988. Cambridge graduate, MBA with distinction from Bayes Business School. 150,000 students taught on Udemy. And in the next 18 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 10 skills that separate analysts who get staffed on live deals from the analysts who keep getting handed the comps update. This video is for 3 people. The student who's about to start an analyst program and wants to walk in already 2 months ahead. The career changer who knows the technical material but has never actually been in a live deal. And the analyst who's been at the desk for a year and is starting to suspect the model is the easy part. Here's what happens to people who don't learn what I'm about to show you. They build technically clean models that miss the commercial point. They sit in client meetings without understanding why the partner just changed the subject. They get cut from the live deal team in their second year because the senior bankers can't trust them with the judgment calls. And almost none of them realize that the gap isn't technical, it's process. The gap between knowing what a DCF is and knowing what a partner will check first is the gap that gets you staffed on the live deal. A quick note before we start. If you want the full version of this, every skill an investment banker needs to build, mapped to the 15-year career arc from first-day analyst to originating dealmaker, I've put it all together in a free book called the IB Skills Roadmap. There are 12 chapters, 4 career stages, 1 self-assessment diagnostic at the end for each chapter, so you can see exactly where you are. The link's in the description. I'll remind you again at the end. Now, let's get on to it. Skill 1. Reading the deal, not just the model. Every M&A transaction has a commercial story underneath the numbers. Why is the seller selling now and not last year? What does the buyer actually want? The asset, the customer book, the management team, or the listing? What's the alternative if this deal falls over? The model is downstream of all of that. Here's the practitioner test. If a senior banker asks you what the deal is about and your first sentence contains a multiple, you've failed. The right answer is always to start with the commercial logic. The numbers are evidence for the story, not a substitute for it. The most expensive mistake I see analysts make is treating the financial model as the thinking and the deal narrative as decoration. It's the other way round. The narrative is the thinking, the model is the proof. Skill 2. Knowing exactly where you are in the M&A process at any moment. There are 9 stages from origination to completion, and almost every analyst question I've ever been asked makes more sense once you know which stage triggered it. Origination, finding the deal. Mandate, getting hired. Preparation, building the information memorandum, the model, the data room. Marketing, going out to buyers. Indicative bids, first round offers. Due diligence, buyers do their work. Final bids, the binding round. Negotiation, drafting the SPA. And completion, signing and closing. Every task you're given on a deal is a request for a deliverable from one specific stage. Knowing which stage tells you what good looks like. The reason senior bankers seem to read your mind isn't experience in some mystical sense. It's because they know which stage they're in, what the deliverable is for that stage, and therefore what the answer to your question must be. That's not magic, that's a map. Skill 3, diligence that actually moves price. Most diligence is done. Very little of it changes anything. The skill is to know the difference. 3 categories of finding will move the deal. Quality of earnings adjustments, anything that restates EBITDA. Working capital, anything that changes the cash-free, debt-free bridge. And contingent liabilities, anything that becomes a specific indemnity in the SPA. Everything else is colour. On a recent industrial deal I worked on, the diligence report was 400 pages. The negotiations turned on 6 numbers. 6. The other 394 pages were context. The skill is knowing in advance which 6 numbers you're hunting for and not getting lost in the rest. Skill 4, the cash-free, debt-free bridge. This is the thing that turns a headline price into actual money in the seller's pocket. And it's where every junior analyst loses their first £3,000 of credibility. The bridge has 4 moving parts. Net debt, debt-like items, pensions, earn-outs, deferred consideration, tax provisions, anything that behaves like debt even though the accountants didn't call it that. Working capital relative to a normalized level, and specific adjustments negotiated into the SPA. The mistake almost every analyst makes is treating net debt as the figure on the balance sheet. It isn't. It's the figure both lawyers agree on after a fortnight arguing about which line items count. If you can run a CFDF bridge from memory and explain every adjustment, you're already in the top quartile of analysts at your level. Skill 5, negotiation as architecture. Most people think negotiation is the dramatic moment in the room when the buyer and the seller stare each other down over the price. It almost never is. Real M&A negotiation is architectural. It happens on paper, weeks before anyone sits down. It's done by structuring the process, the bid letter, the indicative range, the diligence access, and the draft SPA, so that by the time you're in the room, almost everything has already been settled. If you're in a negotiation that feels dramatic, somebody designed the architecture badly. Probably you. Watch what senior bankers actually do. They spend 90% of their negotiation effort on the documents and the process, 10% in the room. The juniors who think it's the other way round are the juniors who never get invited into the room in the first place. If this is landing and you want the long form mapped across the whole 15-year career arc, not just the first deal, that's exactly what's in the IB Skills Roadmap. It's completely free. 12 chapters covering everything from the landscape and financial fluency on day 1 through to specialist knowledge and origination at MD level. Drop your email at jdcoley.com/IB skills and it's in your inbox in 2 minutes. Right. Skill 6. Stakeholder mapping. Every M&A deal has between 5 and 20 people who can kill it. Junior analysts almost never know who they are. On the seller side, the founder, the CFO, the chairman, the institutional investor with a board seat, the family member with no operational role but a veto. On the buyer side, the deal team, the credit committee, the operating partner, the integration lead, the sector head. On the advisor side, the lead partner, the in-house counsel, the funds partner, the tax partner. Map them on day 1. Update the map every week. Know who is in the meeting before you walk in. The single biggest cause of deals dying late is nobody bothered to brief, turning out to have a vote. Skill 7. Process discipline. M&A is a project management exercise wearing a finance costume. The deals that close on time and on terms are the deals where someone, usually an analyst or an associate, ran the process tightly. That means the data room is organized the way the buyers actually search it. The diligence Q&A log is current within 24 hours. The bid letters all have the same format, so they're comparable. The process letter is consistent with what the chairman said on the kickoff call. Every work stream has an owner and a deadline. Brilliant analysts who can't run process get pushed off live deals. Average analysts with iron process discipline get promoted faster than they should be. I have personally watched this happen at 3 different firms. The skill is not glamorous, it's decisive. Skill 8. Writing for senior readers. Partners and managing directors don't read your memo from start to finish. They read the headline, the first sentence of each paragraph, and the conclusion. If those 3 things tell a coherent story, you've written well. If they don't, the rest of the document is wasted. 3 rules. Lead with the answer, never the analysis. 1 idea per paragraph, signposted in the first sentence. Numbers in tables, judgment in prose, never the other way round. If your conclusion isn't visible from the headline, your document is invisible to the only people who matter. This single shift, writing top-down instead of building up to the punchline, is the difference between memos that get read and memos that get filed. It's also why the McKinsey pyramid principle has survived 60 years. It works because senior readers haven't got time for anything else. Skill 9. Knowing what you don't know. The most dangerous analyst on a deal is not the one who's lost. The lost one asks for help. The dangerous one is the analyst who confidently produces an answer that's subtly wrong and doesn't flag the assumptions. 3 habits fix this. First, every model has a clear assumptions tab, not buried in cells. Second, every memo has an explicit limitations paragraph. What we don't yet know, what would change the answer. Third, every time you make a judgment call, you label it, "This is a judgment call." It's a phrase senior bankers love hearing from juniors. It tells them where the risk is. Confidence in the wrong place is the fastest way to lose a senior banker's trust. Visible humility about specific things, not general modesty, specific limitations, is one of the fastest ways to earn it. Skill 10. Closing the deal in your head before you start. Every senior M&A practitioner I've ever respected does the same thing on day 1 of a mandate. They sit down alone and they imagine the closing dinner. Who's in the room? What does the press release say? What multiple did the deal close at? What were the 3 things that nearly killed it? What did the SPA actually contain? Once you can picture that closing dinner clearly, the work between now and then is just execution. Reverse engineer the closing. Then walk backwards through the 9 stages, marking what has to be true at each one. Now you have a deal plan. The analysts who learn this skill stop being analysts in the technical sense and start becoming deal makers in the strategic sense. It usually happens around year 2. For most, it never happens. For the one that it does, it's the moment the career stops being a job and starts being a craft. Let me put all 10 on one frame. Read the deal, not the model. Know the 9-stage map. Diligence that moves price. The CFDF bridge. Negotiation as architecture. Stakeholder mapping. Process discipline. Writing for senior readers. Knowing what you don't know. and reverse engineering the closing. Here's the thing nobody tells you when they hand you the technical training. The technical material, DCF, comps, LBO, accretion, dilution, is roughly 15% of what makes an M&A career work. The other 85% is what we've just covered. Process, judgment, stakeholders, writing, architecture, self-awareness. The textbooks teach you the 15%. The deals teach you the rest. Or read the roadmap and skip the first 2 years of confusion. That's why I wrote the IB Skills Roadmap. It's the document I wish I had existed when I started back in 1988. It's the map of the 85%. There are 3 things I'd like you to do before you leave. First, and this is the only one that really matters for your career, go to jdcolley.com/IB Skills and grab the IB Skills Roadmap. It's the conversation every junior blanker needs to have with a senior one, written down for the first time. 12 chapters across 4 career stages. A self-assessment that tells you what you've actually got versus what you should be building. It's free, in your inbox in 2 minutes. Second, if you found this useful, subscribe. I publish as regularly as I can. I'd love to say weekly, but it doesn't always happen. All of it is practitioner-grade IB content. All of it from someone who's actually done the deals. And third, if you want to go deeper on any of these 10 skills, the matching handbook in the Investment Banking Practitioner Handbook series that I'm writing at the moment goes into the detail. The links are in the description. I'm John Colley, and I'll see you in the next one.